Hello there. So today we're making a nice swirly skirt. I've got 2 meters of fabric here. I've folded it in half. I'm just about to fold it in quarters. And I know. Then I'm going to fold it in half again. So we've got a triangle. Making sure my points are the same point. So, I know. So hard to fold on camera. Okay, so I'm now in 8ths. I'm going to go to 16ths. Lovely. So, keep that nice and tidy. And you can see that alright? Yeah, so it's like a big pointy thing. And I'm going to use a weight to keep it there. So the next thing I want to do is I want to find a chalk pencil, which I had put out, or a marker pen, whatever you've got to hand. And I'm going to use a piece of string, which I also had out a minute ago, and yes, so that I can do the curb. Okay, so first of all we need to find out where we're going to cut it. Now, we need to cut the circle out of the widest part of the body, yeah? Yes, and then we're using stretch fabric to sort out the waistband. So I've gone into half, I've gone into quarters, and I've gone into 16ths. So yes, and we folded the fabric into 16ths. So I need to be able to find the point which is going to get round everything, yeah? Okay, so I've got that point now, and then with a piece of string and a chalk pencil I'm going to draw my curb. I'm going to use as much of this fabric as I can, and then I'm going to draw another curve. So there is a sort of set limit of how long we can make this skirt, unless of course we go into sheeting or something so that we've got we can make a bigger circle, because it's going to be one complete circle. So I'm just trimming off the point that I marked, and then I'm just trimming off the point that I marked again. Making sure that I've got all the bits of fabric, and then hopefully we have a little circle, and we have a big hula hoop. It's like a big cape. Now it doesn't matter if this isn't precisely small enough, because what we're going to do is we're going to make a waistband out of t-shirt type material. Now I've done a test sew, and I know that my trusty machine is quite happy sewing both types of fabric, which is always a good thing to know, okay, because that's the only difficulty about this, is sewing the fabric. And to make the waistband, I have a rectangle, it's already cut to size, and I am going to sew this together. So I'm also making a circle. Lovely, so that's done. quite a lot of cloth on my table now, so I can't see my scissors. And I obviously didn't measure it very well. I'm just going to get rid of that. It's called giving myself a fighting chance when I trim the edges. Okay, so now I've still got this inside out, and I've got my huge piece of fabric. I mean, it's massive, isn't it? And I am going to use pins so that I've got some stretch in the fabric. And best to start on the seam. Now, you pull forward so you can see properly. I'm going to put a pin in halfway through, anywhere actually. And then I am going to put a pin halfway through the stretch fabric and halfway through this fabric. And then I'm going to work out halfway through between the two pins, just by pulling it tight, and I'm going to work out halfway through between the two pins just by eye or pulling it tight. So now you can do as many pins as you like, there is no law. I'm going to do 4 at least. And the next pin, because I've just done the quarters, is going to be halfway between these two pins, halfway between these two pins, so that I've got my gathers equal, because of technically your waist should be smaller than your hips. Yeah, lovely. Just put another one in there. And I'm not going to put one in the last one because I'm going to pick that up and then I'm going to start sewing. So there we are, got that all ready. Got the sewing machine set up that we know does these 2 types of fabric. And we're just going to sew round. Now I've got the stretch fabric on the inside. There's no right and wrong way of doing this. Whatever you're happy with, okay? I'm going to put my pen pot somewhere where I won't knock it on the floor. Okay, so making sure that you've got both pieces of fabric and then just sewing up to the pinpoint. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to unpick the bobbin thread there so that it doesn't look quite as bad as it does. And then I've got my next pin point, so I'm going to pull the stretch fabric just to that mark. Went over the seam there. Another go at pulling that bobbin thread out. So pick it up at the next pin, take the pin out, stretch the fabric, line them all up and then sew. Machine has problems, have a look, see what's going on with it, and then carry on sewing. Okay, all the time I'm making sure that I've got both bits of fabric and that I'm not picking anything up from the bottom. I'm using a really, really small stitch, and I'm making sure that I remove each pin well ahead. Lovely. So next pin, keep the stretch just to the pin. Lovely, pick up the next pin, stretch on the fabric and then go to the pin. Yes, I have promised my machine some oil tonight. I know. And a new needle. So, we are getting there. We've got one pin to go. Till you meet up at the other end or not. So what we're going to do now is we've got all our gathers sorted, is we're going to fold over our stretch fabric and use the previous line of stitches as a guide. So let's put it under the machine, and we're going to have quite a large waistband. And we're literally just going to fold it over. And of course we're going to be stretching it as we go. So lovely, got the line of stitching, feel it under my fingers, pulling this taut, and away I go, really. Okay, so that was never the difficult part of the sew, you know, it was always, yeah, I don't need to sew up the side because there's no side. But the difficult part of the sew, and I know this, is the waistband. Not the waistband, is the hem at the bottom. So what I'm going to do, this is the offcut that we had earlier, and I am going